It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. Welcome back from that short break for a little housekeeping. Of course, we still have Barrister Jide Ologun in the studio this morning, and of course, we'll be taking a look at the Edo governorship election, which was held on Saturday, and the results declared late last night. Barrister Ologun, before we took that break, you were talking about the perceived body language of Governor Obaseki, prelude or prior to the election, and the fact that he had also defected from the APC to the PDP during his second term in office. If you'd like to conclude your thoughts on that.
Thank you very much. So he went to consult the then President Muhammadu Buhari, and of course he succeeded in getting the governorship ticket with PDP. And of course APC is still desirous of adding or getting
Edo State
back. And in politics, you need to understand the concept of democracy. It's the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And in public relations, we say that you embark on deliberate, planned, and sustained actions to establish goodwill with your publics.
Okay.
And he didn't play that game well. But he fell out with his master, his predecessor, and some other stakeholders. And at the point he began to embattle the deputy governor, you know, some of us who are keen on monitoring political trends knew something was coming. Because if you understand politicians, your enemy definitely becomes the friend of your enemy. So you saw Shuaib also playing the role Wike is playing now as a hybrid politician. So, because Wike is now holding two parties, and strongly so. And then it's all about influence. You cannot water down the influence of the deputy governor also in Edo State. And there is this quiet understanding of rotational leadership within Edo State, and Essence Strength Central is perceived to be entitled. So you saw all those things come into play, and of course I can understand why Obaseki was apprehensive. If you monitor the massive entry of federal might into Edo State, about 35,000 police officers and some activities that went on before the election, and by and large the election took place, and INEC, as usual, deployed the beavers, the IREV, and all these technologies. But again, you cannot take out the superstructure aspect of it. You know, those technology devices are infrastructure, but the human management.
Just before we come to Adebimpe and Joy, let's quickly talk about, I'm just going to take you back a bit, where you said, well, this could have been perceived as democracy at work, the function of what the people wanted. Agreed, but would you also say that it was largely the vote of the people that counted here, or could it have also been manipulated, allegedly, by a lot of people who also said on that day, for as low as 5,000 naira, people were induced to cast their votes?
Yes, you know, at the macro level, there's poverty in the land, so there's little you can do about preventing some who are desperate to have a bite of the national cake, like they say, and they perceive election as carnival, as their opportunity. So obviously, we had vote buying, and I doubt if any of the major parties can deny involvement from the report we had. And apart from that also, you cannot rule out manipulations, because obviously, post-elections, the collation of results became dramatic when some party agents were not allowed into the collation center. And you must have seen how the governor himself had to go and invade the
INEC office.
Exactly, at about 3 a.m. And he was, you know, politely reverted back to the State House by the security agents there, you know, led by the brilliant DIG Frank Umba. So it's politics, and people must continue to learn. But, you know, now we have electoral victory, which by Section 65 of the Electoral Action Ensure as amended, can still be challenged in the tribunals. But I am for governance victory.
Okay.
when the wealth of the nation is harnessed in a way that commonwealth is created for common good. Because you see politicians flexing muscle, having sleepless nights and restless days to win elections. But when they get into office, it's all about hardship for the people. We need to migrate from that. Because if you look at the UK, for instance, many are likely not to have known that an election took place in the UK on the 4th of July, 2024.
True.
And Labour Party took over from the Conservatives,
Right.
you know, from an incumbent government.
Government.
But here, it's a big thing. I'm still waiting, and that is if it is revealed, to hear the billions of naira that went into this Edo State election.
It was
in
an
terms of
off-cycle
security,
election.
just one day
One
election. I
election.
mean, I think we should move beyond where we are right now. But like someone rightly said, it's a high-yield investment environment for politicians. So that is why you witness that level of desperation.
All right. Adebimpe, you have
I still want to talk about vote buying. Some of the opinion that this vote buying is not what happens on the day of elections. Our vote buying, you know, starts from the day where you have to pay your way to be a candidate of a party. And the question is, how did we get there? How did we get here?
When we deviated from governance, you know, I just mentioned now, in the UK, let me go back to the days of David Cameron, when UK was trying to pull out of the Brexit deal, and David Cameron's position did not fly. And as the Prime Minister, he resigned. Why? Because he wasn't earning anything bogus in political office. In fact, it was a headache for you to be Prime Minister of
Britain,
of UK, you know, and the basic amenities are there for citizens to enjoy. You saw how Boris Johnson, even the lady that took over from Boris Johnson,
Right,
of her own volition,
she
also
stepped
resigned.
aside.
Yeah.
But it's not the same in Nigeria. When you have a senator who earns 21 million naira per month, I mean, you may want to end that, because all you need to do is sleep and wake up by 1 p.m. and go back to bed by 6, except for the fact that politicians hardly sleep. You know, so these are the issues. And it is a disadvantage to the citizens who should be benefiting. And that is why vote buying may become a robust experience, may remain a robust experience in Nigeria, because about 170 million citizens have been adjudged to be within the multifaceted poverty window. So how do you expect them to cope? And that's why some wait for election times to. And this time around, even on the election days, we saw video of people moving around with men who were arrested. But with the law have its way over them.
Right.
You know, so these are issues. There's poverty in the land.
There
Though
is.
we know that poverty is not a license for you selling your birthright, but it pushed ESO to sell his birthright. That's why they say that a hungry man is not just an angry man, but a confused man. And politicians know that very well. So they throw out peanuts. You don't want to be bothered by the number of bags of rice that would have entered
into
Edo
stomach
territory
infrastructure.
during this election. So I agree.
Okay.
In fact, DIG Frank Muba also said that they were ready to apprehend both buyers and sellers, but that often these things take place in secret.
He's never in the open.
I also, sorry,
Joy?
okay.
Okay, so I just want to pick your opinion. So with the way things played out now in this election, how do you think it will influence future elections in Edo State?
I don't want to be pessimistic, but before Nigeria gets it right in terms of governance, good governance, democracy, it may be another 40 years.
Yeah.
40
You
years.
can write it down. Yes. There is what is called enculturation, and there is what is called conditioning. And until we change that conditioning, we are going away. You need to remove the sugar from the table to eliminate the ants. As long as there is sugar on that table,
The
buy
answer always
insecticide. When that is gone, the ants
They'll come
are
back.
We'll come back.
So we need to find out what has been done in Switzerland, what has been done in Sweden, what has been done in Rwanda, what has been done in Singapore. Focus has shifted from those who are managing the resources to the people on whose behalf you manage the resources. You see, so, and that is, we just mentioned, so the fact that senators earn how much?
21 million.
21 million naira per month did not come from outside of the chambers. A senator, Honorable Kawu, said it, one of them. You see? And you can imagine 21 million naira multiplied by 109 senators. You bring in their SUVs and fueling these SUVs at the rate of 989 naira or thereabout. So why wouldn't they want to
be there
and battle? How much is the security vote for state governors? So, I mean, it's okay. If on the scale of hierarchy, if a senator earns 21 million naira, please, how much will a governor earn?
Okay, I mean, so you've just created, you know, a case study now. The governor-elect, of course, is a sitting senator, and of course, if sworn in, he will be the governor of Edo State in December this year. My question is, going forward, I mean, from what you've also said, it looks like we're not even out of godfatherism in Nigeria. And we saw how Adams Oshomole stood rightly behind Senator Monday Okpobolo here. What are some of the mistakes that you will not expect him to make so that all this rigmarole that we continue to have with father and son in politics, with they fighting? Last night, I was listening to Adams Oshomole, and he said something that struck me. You see this man standing here, he does not talk too much. And that for me was, it was a warning that, yes, he might not talk, but would that also mean that you might also want to push him? And then when the man starts talking, it will be a case of, but you never used to speak. So what are some of your fears or some of the things that you would... What would you advise? How would you wish that he chose this path once he becomes the governor of Edo State?
You know, it's a function of paradigm shift. By the grace of God, I've led in some environments. And one thing I thank God for that he has given me the grace to do is never to tamper with the style of my successor. Beyond advising remotely. In fact, most of the time they accuse me that, Oga, you are not, no. When you feel you need my counsel, I'll be there, and once in a while. And that is something serious in Nigeria. And you know why? Because the pecuniary benefits, the ambition leverage is huge. Look at what has happened in Rivers State. Obviously, Wike was instrumental to putting Fubara there.
Yeah.
But as he did that, he surrounded him with his political soldiers to have a stronghold on Rivers State. And let me say this, we are all emotional and psychological beings. On assuming office, the main stakeholders of the government have gone to him. So you want to be Mugu here. Don't be so that they do ammo. You say if you go establish yourself. So you see battles. And you saw that battle went to the extent of destroying the House of Assembly. There are issues in Nigeria. And who has been held accountable for that? Nobody. So this godfatherism will not go easily. Right. So it's not just about the governor. So you now find a puppet governor who will either remain a puppet or create his own template governance. And battles will come. Rivers State is still, and that is why you will see a local government chairman threatening a governor. So we need to migrate from what we have achieved, turning democracy to business, and bring it back to governance. If that is not achieved, I cannot guarantee that they will not quarrel. Because you see, they say if you want to test a man, give him power. You see, power is, I mean, one would have expected that with all Oshomole did to bring Obaseki to the State House, that he would have remained loyal to him politically.
Right.
But no, it's not like that in the Nigerian politics. And it's a serious matter. And you mentioned an issue which bothers me. I think the Electoral Act should be further amended to bring in a provision like what we had then, that if you are a political appointee, you cannot actively come and participate in primaries and things like that,
Okay.
which ousted the likes of Amechi from office then. See, when a senator is coming to contest for governorship, I think we should look at that. You either hold Senate
Or you...
and run your time out
Okay.
and come out to contest for governorship.
But this could also be because it is an off-cycle election in Edo State.
It doesn't matter. An off-cycle election is still an election.
Okay.
So
So
if you are holding one
position...
office, hold it. You know, but like we say, in every sector of our national life, we have cabals. If you look at, and it's quite interesting, if you look at Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good governance of Nigeria. So some of us wonder, but this thing, why don't you amend the law? Why don't you make the laws and things like that? But you see, in the National Assembly, you find governors who leave office and run to Senate. And they are grooming those who will come and represent them in the governorship seat. So you now find a circle going around. So what kind of laws are they going to make for the country? Except laws that benefit them exclusively to the detriment of the citizens.
Before we allow you go this morning, Barrister Logun, the courts are open, and of course everyone who is aggrieved, of course, are allowed to go to the court. Do you see any of the two parties, perhaps maybe the PDP, heading to court or to the tribunal in this issue?
The tribunals, they are waiting. I've said the judiciary does not determine electoral verdict in Nigeria. They only intervene when they are asked to, when you go to them.
Okay.
In 2015, the former president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, lost as an incumbent president to APC. He never went to court. So it's a function of choice. But from what we are seeing in Edo in particular, because it's quite painful to Obaseki and PDP, it's likely they go to the tribunal. But then, in going to the tribunal, remember Section 131 of the Evidence Act 2011 that says that you must prove the burden of proof is on you, so
Beyond
that
reasonable doubt.
they start mobilizing effectively. Because there are several issues in this last election, and some of the perception that INEC has improved, and but it was even in Edo State that INEC first tried out the beavers and all those technologies. But has the Constitution captured the relevance of IREC beyond being a warehouse for election results? So there are several issues we need to concretize in the nation.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Jide Logun, for finding time to be here on the program today. We appreciate your thoughts.
And God bless Nigeria.
All right, that's the much we'll take on this segment of the program. We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, another very important conversation we'll be having this morning. The federal government of Nigeria is mooting the idea to create a national center for control of arms, small arms and light weapons. That conversation is after the short break.